Welcome back to The Unleashing. I'm your host, Jared Beeler. I want to give a shout out to my little sister, Bree, who sent me this cool coffee cup for my birthday back in January. Thanks, Bree. I'm loving it. It's awesome. And I want to give a shout out to Steve Agro. Hopefully I'm not butchering your last name too bad. Thanks, buddy, for sharing your rapture dream. That was it's very interesting. One thing about rapture dreams, more and more of them are coming out all over the place. People keep having them, and I believe this absolutely has to do with the times that we're living in and how close it's getting to the end. More and more are thinking about it, they're conscious of it, and God's revealing more things. One thing that they all seem to have in common, at least quite a few of them, is aliens or UFOs in the dream with it, just like mine did when I had mine back in 2014. Which I felt was more like slash vision at the same time. But there always seems to be, and this correlation with that I think has to do with the end-time deception. I think they're probably going to be on standby. They might even be doing some, because we know they work with the governments and stuff like that. They might even be doing some which are caught on camera where it looks like people are lifting up or disappearing into their ships just to help the deception move along and look like, no, see, it wasn't the rapture, it was an alien abduction. Now we have to get in war with them. Oh, if we all combine our power, we can join forces and beat them. Oh, yay, we did, blah, 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 and let's follow this new world leader. Just an example. Not saying that's exactly how it is, but definitely a possibility. And you can see how... that would go with it, because we know they're on standby and they're just waiting for something. And I think this whole thing they're waiting for, just like the Illuminati insiders that say that they've got a plan for this worldwide takeover that can happen in 5 days, is they say they're waiting for something. There's a certain event that needs to take place, but they won't say what it is. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the rapture. There is a story I wanted to talk about. I asked my mom if it was okay, and she said it was. She had a little vision of her own, and I wanted to share it with you guys. It was earlier this year. It was either right at the end of December or right at the 1st of January, so it was right at the beginning. She said she hadn't had one in years, and she told me about it, and I thought it was very unique, especially with the stuff that's going on. While she was asleep, it was about 4 or 5 a.m., she was thinking, and she said that she was showing the ocean, and it was a nice, calm day out, and there was no waves or anything like that. You could see as far as possible. And she asked God what that was, and he told her this was 2017, okay? Then the next scene, she's looking at the ocean, and a huge tidal wave comes up. And I believe it hits the shore and destroys a whole bunch of things, destroys everything. And then God told her again, this is 2018. So... This was very interesting, because that's exactly what I've been saying the whole time. Man, how much further can this stuff get pushed back? It doesn't seem like much further. We see war about to just take off all over the place, and everybody's primed all over the place. I mean, this is going to be a World War III that's going to happen, at least, unless something takes place, Gog and Magog, that just catches everybody off by surprise. It's so severe that everybody just is like, whoa, in shock, and maybe it holds it back a little bit further. I don't know, but we can see it taking place. Everybody's moving their troops and stuff into position all over. And I thought this dream that she had, that God showed her, was very unique, because it definitely looks like what it is. And of course, we have two different sides. We have certain prosperity gospel teaching that 2018 is going to be a year of blessing like never before, and your Bitcoin's going to go through the roof. Now's the time to buy it. Gold, gold, gold. And then there's the other Christian group that goes, are you not watching the signs? This isn't going to be getting any better. It's getting worse. This whole thing's a gigantic deception. I mean, just look at the economy. How much longer can we go into debt like this? Eventually it's going to fall. It doesn't last forever. To think that it will is to stick your head in the sand. But like I say, there's two different sides. And one side's going to come out, and I absolutely believe it's the destruction that's going to come out. Look at what's taking place. Yellowstone's growing. It just keeps swelling. They don't know what to do about that. The West Coast just primed for a huge earthquake, maybe a couple of them. What's going on with the Canary Islands over there off of Africa? I've heard from years ago, and I keep an eye on it, that if that island were to slide down from maybe a huge earthquake or a volcano, it would send a tsunami that would take out the East Coast, probably completely flood Florida. These are all things to pay attention to. And they're taking place right now. There were 70 earthquakes in the Canary Islands the other day that were around that volcano. So stuff is really rumbling. So looking at that, you also take into consideration what's one of the prophecies that came up out of 4 people just recently. And of course, I'm always happy to listen, especially if stuff starts to line up with it. First, we get hit by 2 hurricanes down in the south. Then the west coast would be hit by 2 earthquakes. One being a 9.3 or a 9.2, and then the other right after that being a 12.3. All right. Then right after that, the east coast gets hit by a tsunami, and it gets washed up to the mountains. Okay. And then after that, they say that something unspeakable happens, but it gets even worse. And each one of these times in these visions that these people came forward and were talking about is that when it happens, they would pay attention, turn to God, and then they would go cold, their hearts would go cold, they'd go back. Then the next one would be more severe, and they would turn to God, then their hearts would go cold and go back. Then again and again until finally the last one happened. Almost like Egypt and the plagues that happened. But that's how we are as a race, we'll go back, people won't pay attention. How many more signs you have to see to know that we're in the end times, and you need to turn to God or to turn to Jesus and have that relationship so you can get out of here. I mean, there's just a number of things, though, that are taking place, and I keep watching everything. I just saw this morning that Billy Graham passed away last night, and I've heard from Stephen Ben-Noon. Back in 2013, he was talking about how he had a dream that he was showing, and after he passed away, that the rapture would be soon after. I've also heard about Ariel Sharon, or the prime minister before Benjamin Netanyahu, when Rabbi Kaduri had the vision, and he was talking to the Messiah, and he wrote it down, and they said not to open it until a year later, and he did. And the Messiah he'd been talking to was Yeshua, and they all blown away by it. But he said shortly after that he passed away, Ariel Sharon, that the rapture would happen, or the return of Jesus. Well, he passed away in 2014, which is why I was kind of looking at that year too, because it was a pretty good lineup with stuff taking place, especially after we get the Pope, the 112th Pope in place. So, I mean, that was interesting too. So I've heard it before, but here we are, we're in 2018, it's still been 4 years since then. So how much longer after Billy Graham dies, if that were a vision or whatever, who knows? But the way things are looking with the lineup, North Korea, the Middle East, Russia, us, I mean, it doesn't seem like it's that far off, but I mean, how much longer can it go? They keep pushing it. At the same time, they're trying to get more guns and stuff. We know exactly what they're up to. I've said it 1,000 times. Our government, the governments of the world, they are Satanists, okay? Not maybe every single one, but the majority that are behind it. When you hear about pedophiles and stuff like that, when you're doing this isn't a surprise. This is who they are. That's what they do. It's absolute slap in the face of God. It's absolute mockery. They're a disgrace, and they're always planning because they want to take guns so they can implement the next plan, which is the worldwide takeover plan that they have. We've known about that as Christians because it's in the Bible. We know that it goes through for a while. They go into the tribulation. They get this power position. So when we see it taking place and we fight it, I mean, eventually it's going to happen. But those that don't see it, they don't know. They're not paying attention. They haven't read the Bible. They're uninformed. There's a reason why up there in Alaska, outside of Fairbanks, they have a manned FEMA camp that holds 2 million people, all right? My buddy's been to it, who's in the Air Force, all right? He's been there. He knows it's manned. He's seen it. The thing's ready to rock and roll. You don't build a FEMA camp outside of Fairbanks and expect people to make it through the winter there. These are death camps, okay? He said that it's to hold the people that come from, that they bring up in C-17s and stuff from Washington, Oregon, maybe parts of Idaho and stuff like that, Northern California. I mean, they got them all over the place. This is a real big one, but they're eventually going to be death camps. This gets into the guillotines that they've had hidden, that people have seen, that have come forward, that have been seeing them come in since 1980s into America, and they've got like 30,000 or whatever. And then this gets into somebody who broke open a box and they were looking at the controls, and there was hologram pictures that came up. He didn't know what they were because the symbols on them were funny. They looked like a different language. They get sent in to Steve Quayle, and Steve Quayle goes through his research and finds out that these symbols match up to the ones that were found in the Roswell crash that people had sent in to him that they had done sketches of. So it's very interesting. This goes back to demons, Nephilim, the real agenda behind the whole thing, who the governments are actually working for. I mean, it just goes so deep, but we can see it taking place little by little. Before somebody goes, don't you know about Billy Graham's Mason connection. Yes, I know all about that. I also know that with Jesus Christ, there's always hope. There's also when you're a Mason. My uncle was in it, I didn't get to know him. It was when I was very young. I was 4 years old when he passed away. But they found him on his knees. He looked like he was praying on the couch or kneeled down praying. We never know what's going to happen. The lower levels of Masonry, they talk about the light and stuff like that, which eventually leads to Lucifer, which is what they point out. But they don't know it at the time, so there can be Christians in there that are deceived, don't fully know what they're getting into occultic stuff. Once you start to get up in the upper levels, they keep testing you, but even as you get to a 32nd and 33 degree, you still have to be chosen if you're going to the Illuminati and stuff like that. Why do I bring this up really fast? Only to point out that there's always hope. And God can use bad things and bad situations. I mean, look at church, the building. It's done all kinds of terrible things. The building itself, fallen away from what we're supposed to have a real relationship with Jesus Christ, you know. But at the same time, look at the people that have been saved, that have gone to him over the years and have asked Jesus into their heart. So God can use situations that we don't, that don't seem right, you know, and turn them for something good. I'm not completely against it, you know. If you, like I said before, if you have a church or whatever that you go to and you're closer to God by going to it and you feel it, they're teaching good stuff, you're feeling like you're being fed the right, hey, don't stop going, that's great, you know. For others that have got out, they don't find it, they can't find it, but they feel like they've lost all hope because they can't get to God because they feel the only way is to go through church. That's not correct either. You can totally have a relationship without ever going to church. You can read your Bible and you can talk to fellow Christians, you can watch stuff on YouTube, listen on the radio, there's all kinds of different ways, all right? So there's always hope with him, and that's why I bring that out. So yeah, I do know I've heard about the connections with him and Masonry and stuff like that, but at the same time, I know a lot of people have been led to Christ by him, so I'm just pointing that out. You know, the whole thing's interesting though, and like I say, I'm always taking stuff and looking at it, balancing it, putting it into an equation that says, that's interesting, and this lines up here, and then I talk about it. I love talking about God. That's why I do these videos and stuff like that. Because there isn't always people to talk to. Whenever I can on the street, I'm always happy to help talk to people, you know, and sometimes it works and other times it doesn't. But I don't stop because I know that even if they don't do it now, it might be what they remember after this goes down. And they go, you know what, this is exactly what that Jared guy told me. And you know what? The whole thing looks real. I'm going to accept Jesus Christ. So, you know, there's always hope with Jesus, and the mission is never over. You know, we're always looking to save people and stuff like that. But I don't want to get off track or anything like that, and I'm trying to make my first short video because I know that people have lives, and you don't always have time to watch a long video, and I'm such a blabbermouth I can get off on tangents. I wanted to talk about my mom's vision though, and I thought it was really neat, and I asked her if I could share it, and she said absolutely. So 2018, it's primed to go exactly like what she was showing, that it's going to be a tsunami of the disaster that strikes. It's not going to be like 2017 where it looked all calm. Things are about to pick up and take off here like never before, and I'm not surprised. We're getting close to the 70 years since Israel on May 14th or whatever of 1948 off of a solar cycle that we line up with this 70-year generation. So am I surprised that stuff looks like it's lining up like never before? No, not at all. It just keeps picking. And even though we don't know exactly when this might take place, we can definitely see it. We can feel it in our spirits, and we know that the Holy Spirit's showing us, hey, keep on keeping on, because it's not done yet. It's about to happen here pretty soon. So anyways, I want to give a couple shout outs to people and thank my sister for the cool coffee cup and talk about that vision real fast. But you guys have a good day, and we'll catch you next time on The Unleashing. See you later. Bye.